said there was something wrong. Oh,
What?
We can't go live on your Twitter.
Why?
All right, we're live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Fourth and Wrong. I'm Tyler Huck. I've got Chris Marler with me, future Final Four participant. He's joined the team. Congrats, man.
Yeah.
Good weekend for you.
That was really cool. There's I'm excited to talk about it. That was really cool because I just kept waiting for the other shoe to drop and for Bama to blow it. And I also had zero faith they were going to beat UNC, and then they did.
That game was that was an awesome game.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't get to watch the full Clemson game. I saw the end of it. But that UNC Bama game was that was a really good game.
Dude, I was talking to my buddy Robbie Buffington, and we kind of just panic text each other during games, just kind of what we do. And I'm sitting there, and I'm I think Bama had a 5 or 6 point lead in the later part of that game, and I was like, dude, we could do this. Bama can do this. And we're both all amped up, and then within maybe a minute and a half, UNC was leading, and I was like, well, shit, all right, that's fair. And then came back and won, man. That was really cool. I have never seen that before in my life.
The guy from UNC, the point guard, just kept shooting.
Yeah,
and he just kept.
Well, Withers taking that shot. There was a minute left, and I think they were down one, and he got the ball very early in the set, and they were there's 16 seconds left on the shot clock, and he just fired a three and then missed it, and everyone's like, what the hell? The other thing that was weird was UNC fans were telling me this, there were two kids that played in the second half, or this white kid who got 9 minutes of game time in the second half, and two of the other guys Cormac and somebody else who are their consistent starters got 9 minutes combined. It was just a very weird way they were going about it. He had some things go your way, got very lucky with the missed dunk from Bako or Bakat or however you say his name. But it was awesome, man. That was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. And shout out to white basketball players finally making a mark on some games, which is great.
Dude,
good.
That was I'm gonna say this, and I'm probably gonna get canceled for it. But Clemson.
Oh yeah.
Clemson is just Clemson through and through, no matter what the sport is. Because I was telling Robbie, I was like, dude, they have two white guys that are their premier players, and they had a guy in the Elite Eight who was this Pepper. Hey, I left a box of Samoas on the floor. She's about to tear them up. I don't know why they're on the floor. It sounds bad and white trashy. But anyway, so she had. I was telling him, I was like, dude, even their best black player was super light skinned. It was it's just everything about Clemson is just they are very on brand. But it was a really fun. It was a fun Thursday night. It was shocked. I watched the games on Sunday as well. I don't know if you got a chance to watch Purdue and all that, but it was that was something.
Yeah, Purdue. I mean, obviously Edey's playing like a man possessed. It is a little annoying that literally every time I look at the screen, he's on the foul line.
He at one point through 30 minutes of basketball, he had drawn 10 fouls and committed none.
That doesn't seem possible to me, but
it doesn't seem possible. You know why, Tyler? Because it's not possible.
Yeah.
And also, just admittedly, I say this all the time. I don't know enough about basketball for me to be like, oh, those are obvious fouls. I saw Tennessee fans pissed. It's just the disparity between the fouls that are called on him versus the fouls he commits. And you weren't here last week, dude. I did a full deep dive on the fouls called in the entire first round of the NCAA tournament. Pepper stop. And it was wild to see just the differences in some of these games. Because a lot of times it felt like it was the ref show pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's one thing about college basketball, I think, that has just really bothered me over the last few years is it feels like it is a ref show. It's like they call fouls on everything. So it
Yeah.
slows the game so much. Then you have the so all right, so we got Purdue versus NC State. NC
Right.
State is a great story. I mean, they were straight up like bad during the regular season, and they just went on a magical run through the ACC tournament to get the
and hit that last second shot against Virginia.
yeah.
Like
And now here they are in the Final Four. DJ Burns has been kind of like the star of the show. To be honest with you, wasn't even really sure who he was before this tournament or before the ACC tournament, maybe. But there was an interesting tweet that went out from Jim Nagy, who I believe is like the Senior Bowl guy.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can put it on screen here.
Yeah, we got to start putting more stuff on the screen.
Love the screen. I'm gonna put it on there for you.
Are you? Because I don't like this part right now. We're so far apart. It's like us emotionally.
Look at us. Wait, why can't we see it? Oh, I gotta share it. There we go.
Why is it zoomed out, dummy?
It's not zoomed out. It's just not zoomed in.
Okay. Electric City right now.
DJ Burns, Jim Nagy from the Senior Bowl, tweeted 2 days ago, anyone else having trouble watching NC State big man DJ Burns and not thinking about him kick sliding in pass pro or getting out on pulls? Can't just be me. And then he followed up on that and said, got texts from a GM, assistant GM, and college director within an hour of posting this on Friday night. NFL interest DJ Burns is a real thing.
Now, here's the thing. Let's get into this. Okay. I want to dissect this and hear I want to hear what you think about this from like an analyst perspective. And then also if you were in his shoes. One of the things that used to drive me fucking nuts about baseball, still does, is it's not as bad anymore because you only have 20 rounds. But in the past in Major League Baseball, you had 50 rounds in the Major League Baseball draft. So the amount of projects that would get drafted just to take a flyer on was really, really high. And you saw a lot of kids. I saw a lot of like personal friends and teammates and guys I played against that were 22 or 23 put up monster numbers their senior year. But it was like, hey, you know what? He's a senior. He's 23. Like there's only so much ball he has left in him for he might already hit his prime. So
Right.
like we'd rather take a flyer on somebody that's like younger, like, you know, like it's a wide. Dude, I told this before. There was a kid on our team at Georgia College who was 6'9", lefty pitcher. He threw 84 miles an hour. He topped out at 84. He got drafted. He went to Milton. He got drafted. Yeah, he got drafted 3 separate times because he was a 6'9" lefty, and I think he threw 9 total innings in college. But like the scouts were like, oh, dude, but if we could just figure out how he can throw a little bit harder and get those mechanics going, and it was like, dude, this is the finished product. Anyway,
this is it.
Yeah, this is it. What's up, Kev? All right, so here's the thing, though. This thing with Nagy, the difference between I brought up all the baseball stuff and this is one, baseball for major league contracts, those are guaranteed fully. That is not the case with football. Is it, like, would you even consider this? Because he's probably not going to get drafted already. He's probably at best going to either make like the D League or the G League or whatever it's fucking called now, or go play overseas. And you can make a living playing overseas, man. Like a good living.
I don't know his background. I don't know if he's like ever played football, but you know, obviously the NFL is always looking for big athletic linemen.
Right.
If I was him and I had like the NFL approaching me saying, "Hey, we'd love to give you a shot," I don't think there's anything wrong with like he's not going to get drafted in the NFL, but like if you could choose your team as an undrafted free agent and be like, "Look, I'll come work out." I mean, what practice squad players even probably make 300, 400, 500 grand in the NFL.
I think the league minimum is like 200 something. I mean,
so,
that's like
good living there.
Why would you not?
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's cool. Obviously, he's super athletic. It's really fun watching him play basketball because it doesn't seem like he should be like good at shooting or traditionally like these big centers. They don't have the skills like this guy has. So clearly, like he's got good feet, and I'd try it out if I was him. I mean, why not? Why shut the door if you literally have the NFL, the biggest you know, franchise or business with sports in the world, saying we'd give this kid a shot, and he's never played at the college level. You might have.
You get to bypass all the hard shit that went into it. Not to say this kid hasn't done anything, obviously, because he's a basketball player. He's played at the collegiate level. But I mean, like, yeah, I
Well, yeah,
mean, like
no concussions, no, like,
none.
knees, like, haven't been in the trenches, like, he's a fresh player.
I will also tell you this though, that position, like it's awesome how well he moves.
Yeah, you gotta know
But
the
there's
game.
also something said, like that's a different body type for basketball because you're running the entire game, and that's awesome. He'll be in shape enough to do it. I don't know what he weighs. He'd probably have to gain some weight, but you're going to go into a league where you're playing against grown ass men, and that bench, like you're not going to be doing like I remember seeing like our basketball strength and conditioning coach would do shit all the time. It was like one legged stuff, like alternating stuff, like just like a lot of core stuff for basketball because it was way more important than most of their sports. But you better just be lifting pure heavy, like on bench and chest stuff, like because that's and shoulders especially because that's a lot of like destruction you're gonna have there.
100%. So it'll be interesting to watch. It'd be fun to see them take down Purdue. That
Yeah.
matchup with him and Edey's gonna be really fun to watch.
Who are you pulling for?
Yeah, I don't know, dude.
What the fuck? What do you mean you don't know?
I'm not okay. Well, I'm not rooting for UConn. So there you go.
Okay, good. They're good.
Not really rooting for Purdue. NC State's a good story.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for that matchup, and then I don't care who wins. How about that?
That's fair. Yeah, I think it seemed like very early on, just like last year, like UConn is just going on this run that's like dude, they went.
They're beating everyone by
Illinois.
like
Illinois, they've beaten everyone. I think in every tournament game the last 2 years, I think they've beaten every single team by double digits.
Yeah, like they're really good. I mean, they're obviously an overall seed. So,
have you seen the line on the Bama game?
What is it? No, I haven't seen it.
11.5. Wow. And the juice is on UConn to cover. I think it's probably a good bet, man. It's like,
yeah,
like I'm sure by Thursday or Friday, I'll have convinced myself that Bama can win that game somehow. But that is going to have the feel, and the Kev, I think, is a Bama fan. He's in here. He can probably attest to this. That is going to have the feel of every basketball game before Nate Oates that you've ever watched under Bama. Like, all right, man, big matchup. You got Kentucky and Coleman. Like, can we pull this off? And you're like in it. You're in it for between 10 to 35 minutes, and the wheels fall off at some point. So we'll see. But I'm excited, man. It should be a lot of fun.
Man, if they shoot like they did against UNC, they could beat anybody. I mean, Sears was incredible.
Yeah.
So I think they've got a shot. I mean, that 11.5, that's a lot higher than I thought it was going
to be. Yeah. Dude, yeah. Illinois was like 8.5, but Illinois is also one of the top 5 offensive teams in the country. And like you saw them just struggle to even get to even with them to get 23-23. And then they like when it was 23-19, it felt like Illinois was doing everything in their power to keep it close. And you look at the score, and you're like, oh, you would think by the way they're reacting, they would be up, 6 points, and they're down 4. And then they go on a 30-0 run, which if that happens in the Bama game, I will. What's up, Kirby Smart? I will not handle that well. I will not handle that well at all. What's up, Harry Legee? Look, we got some familiar faces in the chat.
Oh yeah.
Kirby Smart, this is my 3rd account, so hope you're doing well.
So that brings me to this, which full credit to Pardon My Take for starting the conversation, but they were talking about Bama. No, we're not going to give them credit.
This has been a conversation for years, and it's always drive me. It's always driven me crazy. You know what I mean?
No, I don't. But, okay, well, let's talk about it then. Bama's in the Final Four. Had a lot of success in football over the last decade, 2 decades. Yeah. What would you give up for Bama to win a championship in basketball?
Okay, I want to start by saying this. I posted this earlier today. I've always hated this question so much because I think it's so stupid. Because I would just like you to go win all of them. Like go win as many sports as you can. Like TriStar probably gets this. He's what's up? Oh, fucking Ghost Mike's in here. Our UConn contingents in here. And also like in the chat, like say what you would give up. Like, but looking at Harry Legee, looking at Kirby Smart, I had my favorite interaction with this question ever on Twitter a couple of years ago. This dude named CFB Pat, really funny dude sometimes on Twitter, and he they were like, I think at the time, he's a huge Georgia fan. At the time, Georgia was like 6-22. And people were asking this question, like, oh, would you give up this for Bama to win a natty? And he said, he goes, I wouldn't give up a fucking first down for this team to win a natty in basketball. Like the question in the past has always been like, what would you give up for them to make a Final Four? And I got to say, I always thought it was a stupid question, but now that you're in it, and now that you're like in the Final Four, it's kind of like, man, it would be it would be pretty awesome to win a national championship in basketball. It would be. It's just going to be very. It won't mean the same.
So let's say you can't go back into the past and change what happened, but let's take this upcoming football season, for example. What would you be willing to give up?
I was going to say, I wish you didn't say the past, because I would have given up 1941 in a heartbeat.
Yeah, right.
What would I be willing to give up? Like, see, I would probably be willing to give up losses to all the rivals. Like, which is, in the past, I would have never said that. Like, losing to Auburn is awful.
Yeah.
You'd be losing to Auburn at home. I
feel like when we get to the fall, though, like say Bama wins, and you were like, but I have to lock in that they're going to lose to Tennessee. So who's on it?
Would be awful.
LSU, Tennessee, Auburn, Georgia.
Okay, so here's the thing, and I'll be honest with you, Tyler. If you asked me that question in September,
yeah, you'd be like, no.
It would be very different. Yeah, I would like. I tell you what, if you gave me the option for Bama to beat Georgia, especially Bama to beat Georgia and make the playoff over Georgia,
yeah, you'd
take
a
60-point loss to UConn.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Like, I totally get it. I want Bama to win the national championship. I pull for them. I have since I was a kid. I've been watching this, basketball since 95. I think I've tweeted like I remember watching this get sent home by Big Country Bryant Reeves way back in the day. The thing with this question is tough because it's like, I don't know. I don't know what I would give up. Like, I'm going to be pulling for them regardless. The thing that I also would say about this is, dude, this thing turns into such people chasing clout for fanhood so quickly. Like, you can have whatever answer you want. You're not a better fan for answering one way or the other. You know what I mean? And I've always said this too, is like, basketball doesn't mean as much for losses as football does because of the amount of games. Like, yeah. That's good, Mike. Because the amount of games, like you play 35 to 40 basketball games a year. In football, you only get, I've said it for years, you get 14 precious Saturdays. And it's just hard. It's hard to trade those, but yeah. So I don't even know if I answered your question. I mean, what would even be the comparison for FSU?
Now, let's take your example, and we say that you have to lose to Georgia, Tennessee, LSU, and Auburn.
In Auburn, all four of those? There's no.
But here's the thing: could a 8-4, 9-4 Bama still make the playoffs as a 14 seed?
No, dummy. No. What?
Why not?
If they went 4-4 in the conference,
the SEC is already getting SEC and Big Ten are already pretty much. It's been said that they're going to be the conferences that gain the majority of.
Dude, there's no way an 8-4 Bama team with all of those losses gets in. Because then what are your quality wins? Wisconsin on the road. So I get what you're saying.
Do they play Ole Miss
this year? No, they don't play Ole Miss this year. I think the main thing is this.
Ole Miss is a top 10 team.
Huh?
Ole Miss is a top 10 team this year.
Yeah, but they won't play Ole Miss.
Well, yes, now. But I was saying before, you laughed it off before we said that.
Honestly, are you saying winning the national title and going 8-4?
Oh, see, because you said all you said was I take losses to the rivals. That's what I would trade. But if you could still somehow make it into the playoff and win a championship,
there's no way they would do that at 8-4. Actually, it is Bama, so you never know.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
no, honestly, I would say as of today, I would. But we'll see. I don't know.
You're in the moment.
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's really fun.
No, it is. It is fun.
Can we talk about this for a second?
What's that?
Can we talk about this for a second since we're both watching it as we're recording?
Yeah. It is on right now. 52-49 Iowa as I watch.
So if you've been watching sports at all this week, hit it, Van Lith. Everybody listening, we need Van Lith over 9.5 points. All of us together need that, okay? Not just me.
Caitlin Clark drains a 3. Caitlin Clark.
Okay. And I hate when you do this.
We won't go play by play.
All right, no. So here's the thing. So this has been brought up a ton this weekend. This has been awesome, like theater, I think, for women's basketball. More people will have watched the women or the men's tournament for sure, because they always do. But like, there's been some incredible like crowds for one, and then also the numbers that they put up from like ESPN. Like I think like in their first round game, like Iowa, who's a 1 seed, so they're playing a 16 seed in women's. They had like 3.25 million viewers. That's awesome. That's awesome. Crazy, tonight specifically, this Iowa LSU game, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, like, you know, this whole good versus evil bullshit that people have kind of drummed up.
Oh, stupid.
This is like, in my opinion, as a sports fan, like appointment television, must-see TV. That's how I feel about it. At the same time, my one gripe about this, Tyler, if we're going to cover this and try to make it like as important as like men's sports and like give them this platform and like that they've earned and like, you know, all those things, the coverage of it needs to step up a little bit, because the coverage of it is just fucking fangirling for every single segment and every single person. And like, I love Holly Rowe. I love Drea. Like, know Drea personally. Great person. Like, but like this whole thing, and I'm mainly talking about Holly Rowe, of being the sideline reporter specifically for Caitlin Clark, and just talking about like, or like last game about like Flau'jae Johnson's like rap career and how people are giving her shit because she's a rapper and not focusing on the game. And I was like, who is doing that? Like who is out here hating that much on her? Lillard?
Does anyone say that about Dame Lillard when he's out here like a legit good rapper and like he puts out singles and shit? Like,
does he really?
I don't think anyone's ever been like, he's not focused enough on the game.
And if they're not doing it with him, I doubt they're doing it with LSU women's basketball. But my main thing is it's like, it's awesome to watch, but also like you don't need to dumb down the moment by like spoon feeding us the storylines you think that we want to hear. Like it's sports, and at the root of it, that's why we all love sports. Like it's great that you have like, you know, the good, like it's not good versus evil as the LA Times thing came out with, but it's like, you know, you have a team you're pulling for and you have the villains, like any good storyline. So
yeah, and I do hate too that like if we want to make women's basketball or any women's sport like covered like the men's game, you also have to be able to talk about the players like you do the men.
Mm-hmm.
I remember last year when like Portnoy tweeted like classless about Angel Reese, people threw a fit and they were like saying that he, you know, like you don't like women, but whatever. It's just like I have to be able to say like I hate Angel Reese or I hate Caitlin Clark, and I think she's got a trash crossover. Like nobody talks that way about women's basketball.
Yeah, no.
And so until then, yeah, it does feel force fed a little bit. It's like, oh, look
That's
at
a good point from Joe.
You know, it's just like we need to be able to analyze the game like it's a men's game, and then though I think they'll finally get to that point where it's like it feels a little even.
It feels like ESPN. We have our own platform now, so I don't know. We're not going to get in trouble for saying it, so I'll just fucking say it. We're going to get to that next.
ESPN.
But literally ESPN, it feels like with stuff like this, they have not moved out of the mindset they had for reporting
the kid
during 2020. And like the way that everything has to be influenced with strictly emotion first before sports or facts, whatever. It's just like, and most of you know the way I lean with stuff like that usually, and it's almost out of character for me to even criticize, but it feels like a missed opportunity for what they've done so far. More missed opportunities, I would say, Tyler, is us not talking about college football like we're supposed to do. What do you want to go to next?
A women's basketball podcast.
Yeah, we are the premier women's basketball podcast. That's what we've always been known as.
Yeah.
What do you want to get into? You want to get into this?
Yeah, I didn't. So I want to talk about this because I didn't see it. So I saw that Bo Nix said SEC fans have an unhealthy obsession.
So let me pull up the exact quote. Something I should have done hours ago. Bo Nix, unhealthy obsession. So basically, he was on an interview with, I think it was Ryan Russillo. And yeah, it was Ryan Russillo. And they were asking, like, you know, what changed when you went from, I was about to pull away. What changed when you went from Auburn to Oregon? Because you talk about a massive difference. And they said, what's the difference in the SEC and the Pac-12? And he said, the hostility in the SEC, it makes it almost like a quote unhealthy obsession right off the bat. So like the way that I saw this position for a lot of people, John Glasgow making just excellent points in the chat. The way I saw this position by a lot of places was Bo Nix takes shots at Auburn fans. Like Auburn fans did have an unhealthy obsession with this kid particularly because it's like all the whole storyline around it. He's a true freshman starting at QB. He's, his dad was a quarterback there during arguably their most successful run they've had since Bo Jackson. Like, I don't think that's unfair to say. And so there's a lot of pressure on this kid coming into it. And when he didn't succeed early on, like they kind of quit on him. Now, if we're just being honest, Bama fans jumping on this, piling on like, yeah, Auburn fans are shitty and they're doing this. Bama fans are the same ones that made up an entire story about him having an illegitimate son that he didn't take care of. So like, so that I say that to kind of like lessen this unfair blow to Auburn fans for one. And then also that's like the definition of an unhealthy obsession. It is. Yeah, it is. You grew up in the South. I grew up in the South.
I also think there's this thing that like anybody who doesn't have a team in the SEC gets so sick of SEC fans, like with the SEC chants, pounding the chest about always being the best conference. So I think it's also plays in there where it's like, oh, I was in the SEC, then I went to the Pac-12, which is now Big Ten, whatever. Yeah. But the fans are a little weird there. And look, I mean, we've definitely had some weird stuff. I've had weird messages from fans. You get berated by SEC fans all the time. It's just
all the time.
It is part of the culture of SEC, and some of it can be unhealthy. I do agree with him.
I don't think it's in question. And that's also, let's be clear, it's what makes part of the charm, right? Like, but I think it's also see, like TriStar in the in the comment right now, like that's exactly what we mean. That's a lot. Like that's a lot to say. So Alabama fans are nothing more than cousin blanking rednecks that shoot opposing fan bases when they lose. All right. Well, they also shoot their own fan base too. No, I mean, like I think,
and that's not a general. Every Alabama fan does that.
Every single one. I think that it's like I think it is an unhealthy obsession down here. I think like I said, it's like part of what makes it so cool and the charm of it. And it's awesome they have this kind of fans. I mean, like there's nowhere else in the country in any sporting event, and you could really say anywhere else in the world. I don't know how big the stadiums are in like for soccer in Europe, but I mean, like outside of the World Cup and some of these like big like championship games, like you're not packing 100,000 people in to go see like any other sport for one, and you're definitely not doing it when it's something like whatever the parallel what do you call it? Comparison of like Bama Vandy would be. Like 100,000 people aren't going to see Brazil play like a high school soccer team. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
So,
whatever. Let's talk a little bit about since we love gambling. The NCAA president is calling for a ban of player prop bets.
Yeah.
They just don't want anyone to have fun with sports ever.
You start with this one.
Look, I didn't see the explanation. My guess would be they don't want players to have the pressure of, look, we all have access like to anybody we want on social media.
Yeah.
Of course, if with the player prop bets, it's all about the player. It's not about the team or anything like that. So I can see why the NCAA wants to kind of protect these players at such a young age. They got a lot on their backs already to have people openly betting money on them. But the second thing is it also avoids a player easily being able to throw a game.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're worried about specifically because these kids they're adults in name, but they're still kids. It'd be very easy for somebody to come up to a kid who, has a prop of 4.5 points, and it's like, hey, we'll give you $50,000 as long as you go under. That could easily happen in the college game. It just happened to somebody in the NBA. They're investigating it right now. I think guy's name's Jonte Porter. Sorry to Jonte Porter, not you. And then you've got obviously the Ohtani stuff that's now becoming a big thing. Which is
like
crazy, by the way.
1,000% guilty.
1,000, and it's crazy because I know the MLB does not want to ban him from baseball. He's the biggest star they have.
Yeah, they won't. They won't.
So,
he will have an injury very soon.
Yeah,
guaranteed.
It's like Jordan going to play baseball for a bit.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, but this one is like he'll come off the mound. He'll be warming up one day, and he will come off the mound with and he'll I guarantee you, like bookmark this exact moment. He will be warming up for a game. He'll like wince or whatever, and then grab his arm, like his shoulder or his elbow, come out, and they will sideline him for 3 months. Guaranteed.
The only issue with that is he's not pitching this year, so that can't happen this year.
What? He's not pitching? Mm-mm. Well, then I wish I didn't get all hot and on my soapbox about that.
He had an injury. I think he'll start pitching next year.
Either way.
But so that's where I think they're going with this. They don't want college kids to be influenced by outside parties to throw games or anything like that. What about you?
So it says like the main reasoning for it, which really surprised me, was the NCAA said like what you originally said. It's kind of trying to limit and protect players from player harassment.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly, I hate almost everything the NCAA does. I really do. But I don't disagree with this one. And the main reason why, Tyler, is because it's too easy to get around it. Like it's too easy for them to come in and be like, you know what? Like you saw it. What's his name? He already did it. The receiver from LSU, Kayshon Boutte. He was betting on himself in games.
The name like Kayshon Boutte 4.
Right. So if it's already
that time, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, and at least he was betting the over, but it's still, I think it would be so hard to police, where you're gonna have kids that are going to someone's gonna show up, and it's in the thing that's gonna suck the most is it's gonna be games that matter. It's gonna be, there's never usually. Vegas is fun for a lot of reasons. Sports betting doesn't have the same charm and allure as going to Vegas, because you've seen all these, the way it can end poorly when you get in deep with somebody, or somebody affects the game or approaches you, because then there's no getting out of it. So I honestly kind of agree with it.
Yeah, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. It's just another thing that the NCAA has on their docket of things that people don't agree with, that are just
yeah.
But I could see this one.
All right.
I don't really do a lot of player prop bets in college.
I have I've thrown out some for basketball and March Madness and stuff, and and been pretty good at them. But for football, no, I don't.
I wonder if this would include things like DraftKings and Underdog and all that, where it's you're picking over unders.
Yeah,
because I know that's pretty.
And I have a very hard time picking the NCAA. What's wrong with my setup? Bo Blackwell. You tell me Tyler's setup looks better just because he's got a bottle of Freak Show up there in the back?
That's McCann Merlot and Chipper Chardonnay.
Is that real?
That's real.
This is what is it called? I don't know.
I don't even know what you're pointing to.
I don't either. John Glasgow says we need to get back to the good old days of the mob handling gambling, and he's probably not wrong. No, I just
2 weeks ago about the kid from Vandy,
which that's absurd. That's absurd. You know what? Honestly, I almost wonder if that guy might have been a plant from the NCAA to be hey, go get this story out here and see if you can get any legs. And I'm half kidding when I say that, but I don't know. I don't think it would be a huge deal to not have player prop bets. But here's the thing. I don't think the NCAA is going to have enough help and firepower behind them to be able to make that happen. I just don't there's a lot going against them, and a lot of it's money and financially based. But if that does happen, you're talking about people like Underdog Fantasy that are just done. That whole
college, at least, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
We'll see. We're 35 minutes in. I think we're gonna do a 45-minute show so we could watch the end of this game.
Yeah, probably so. You want to talk about this real quick, and then we'll get out of here? Or we'll get one more.
Let me share this clip. I was reading, and by the way, if you guys have never watched the Pivot podcast, don't do it while you're watching ours, but you can go back later. It's like Ryan Clark from LSU, Channing Crowder from Florida, Fred Taylor from Florida. They just have a podcast. They bring in a bunch of NFL guys and just talk to them for like an hour. Derrick Henry's episode was really cool, but they started talking to him about like the transfer portal, because obviously it wasn't really around. When Derrick Henry was in the league or in college. And they had this interesting conversation here. See what you have to say about this.
Was there any time you talked to your family that help you through that? Because you mentioned just how close you guys were, how everybody pitched in to make sure you were good.
Yeah, that's so funny. We piggyback off of talking about Coach Burns. He came to see me in high school. You know, at the time I was, T. Rich was going crazy at Bama, so I wanted to have a question about every running back. And in high school, like I always get pulled out of class, and every time I got pulled out of class, I'm like, okay, it's a college, so I'm good. I ain't got worried about. I'm good. So he came to visit me, and I always do my business with coaches in my head coach office back in high school. And we talked for like hours, and I was like, asked about T. Rig, asked about Mark Ingram, Eddie Lacy, and then once I got there, I was like, oh yeah, I'm finna. As soon as I get there on campus, I end up graduating high school early and enroll early, so I'm like, oh yeah, I'm finna be starting. So when I got into practice, I'm getting, I'm like, why ain't like Trent? Why ain't like Mark? What's going on? Like, you been it's hard for me to understand. But like as the season went on, and us finding the program, because I got there with Alvin. Man, Alvin came in at the same time. Alty Tenpenny, who ended up passing away. My last year,
I didn't know that.
In like October. Tyron Jones, I can't remember, Ruben Foster. So we had a deep class. TJ was already there. King Drake was already there. Justin Fowler was already there. We was deep. Like we had like 8 guys. The whole room was deep with seats. And then we got out to practice. You be happy you get a rep. When you got the depth chart, you're not gonna get no reps. A matter of understanding that like in verse situations, it's not about like. It's not about making excuses. It's about how you get through it. So my family really just let me come on my own. I would call, complain, and vent. But you ain't coming home, so I don't know what you thinking. But at the time, I was like how these kids do now. They go to one school and leave. I was really thinking about going to Florida State. It really came. I was almost close to leaving going to Florida State, but me and Coach Sagan had to talk, and then I eventually ended up staying. And everything worked out.
Pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
I wonder how many times that actually happens, like during the year or like right after the season. How many kids actually come into the coach's office and say, "Hey, coach, I'm thinking about dipping out." I guarantee you it happens way, way, way more than we ever hear.
Well, especially like somebody like him, it makes a lot of sense too, because it was like, and TriStar's not wrong again. They had to talk money. Like, do you remember Derrick Henry's career in high school?
Oh, dude, he was insane. There were a couple games they talk about on this podcast where he had like 60 carries in a game.
Yeah, and like 54 carries, 465 yards. I think he averaged like 10 yards a carry or something stupid his senior year. Like his numbers were all time. But when he came in, it was in 2013, like he was talking about. This is nuts. But this is a Heisman comparison. Okay.
This was back from 2015 when they were actually playing, and it was obviously made by a Florida State fan because it says at the bottom, Dalvin Cook also had an ankle and lingering hamstring injuries, as if I'm sure Derrick Henry didn't have any injuries at all. But imagine having these two in the backfield at the same time. I think that's more.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been hard to what do you call it? Manage their carries for sure. It would have been incredible too.
Remember that he was committed to Georgia?
Yeah.
I didn't remember that until he said it in the podcast.
I think Devontae Smith was too.
Was he really?
But see, here's the thing too. With like, I remember this with Henry because he's huge, and we obviously have like the benefit of hindsight being 2020 now. But like, he was 6'3", 230 out of high school. I think he ended his career at Bama at like 6'3", close to 6'4", like 245. And I'll never forget that the week of the Arkansas game, his freshman year, on Bama Online, they were just, I read it religiously back then. They were talking about like the game coming up, and I remember distinctly Travis Ryer posting. He said, "This is the last week of the Derrick Henry experiment at running back, because he's got to learn that he can't just get to the corner and outrun everybody every single time like he did in high school. And he gets in against Arkansas. Bama's up 45-0. And they also, side note, because they brought this up afterwards, that was a game where they gave up no points, had no penalties, and like something else. It was like 0 or whatever. But they put him in late in the game, up 45-0, and he got to the corner and outran everybody for an 80-yard touchdown. And I thought it was so funny because it was like, I think everyone thought he was going to get moved to either linebacker or he was going to get moved to tight end because he was so big. It's just kind of goes to show you, like, I love stories like that where it's like, it's kind of like the Lamar Jackson thing playing quarterback, where it's like, you know what? Like, I know what I got here. I know how good I am at this specific position, and that's where I'm going to be. So,
yeah, it's if you have time, go check that podcast out because it's a really Derrick Henry seems like a great guy, and it's cool that he's on the radar. I mean, that's going to be a pretty potent offense.
Yeah. Speaking of potent offense.
So I saw this story. This is our uncensored moment of the week, and we're gonna get out of here. I saw this story circulating, and then of course everyone's fan favorite Antonio Brown had to take it to the next level.
He is on fire on Twitter.
I don't know if he's running his own Twitter, but something's going on here, and he's just going after everybody. But anyways, he posted this. So these conjoined twins got married to this guy.
No. Only the one.
Like, only the one?
Yeah, that's the weirdest part. Besides, I'm so fascinated by this from like how it started. Like it's just. Are you just now reading this for the first time?
Yeah.
Read it for everybody. Like because everyone had questions. This guy, this very plain, normal looking dude, married conjoined twins, and he married he married one of them. He married Brittany. Also, they're on Twitter under Brittany and Abby Hensel with the name Two Heads Are Better.
Fair.
Which is amazing.
Everyone is asking, we're just going to tell you. Yes, I have sex with my husband. Yes, I go down on him. Yes, my sister Brittany is there. Yes, my sister and I orgasm as one, but when I sleep with my husband, she's usually reading a book or listening to a true crime podcast, so she just puts the pleasure out of her mind. That is one of the most insane things. Like the visual of that, of this, like you can see the picture. They're like, she basically is just sitting there reading a book. That is, well, she only has one arm, so she's like this.
Dude, it's the fact that they do it together is odd. His smile is also terrifying.
Yeah, because it's like he's really into it, I think.
How did they even get a dress? Like, I just have this whole process. I have questions on this whole process, but them having conjoined heads and then her saying she listens to a true crime podcast. I love that she said it like it was like this like moment where in my head she's saying like I'm just like you guys. Like I love true crime podcasts. You know what I mean? Curl up on a Monday night, cancel my plans, feels so great. And listen to a true crime podcast.
Yeah, she just orgasms in the middle of it, but because she's listening to the true crime podcast, she just puts it out of her mind.
What kind of mental issues would you think you had if, as you were having an orgasm, you also heard somebody saying, like, "All right, mate." Remember the Golden Gate Killer from the Australian guy? And he slashed her from behind. I was like, it's like the height of like I tell you what. Not once in my life have I ever come during a Law and Order SVU episode, but that's exactly what this sounds like, and that's a lot. That's a lot. Her sister's kind of a perv.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna say that I guess So Abby's the one that married because she said Brittany is there. Of course she's there. It's her body. What do you mean?
If also like, what does that say about Brittany when he walked up to her and he was like, "Hey, I couldn't help but notice you from across the room. You have two heads." But the one on the left is the one I'm really interested in.
Yeah. I don't like you. I don't like your tone. So you just, I mean, obviously you stay here, but I'm interested in you.
We look the same and literally are the same.
I got real questions about the husband, and I think we're gonna see some come out about this guy. You put you marked Otani's suspension. I'm marking this guy getting arrested somehow for something weird. I'm just calling it now.
Yeah, like the fact. How is this legal? This feels like something should be illegal.
I guess it is, but I think you'd have to get married to both of them.
Yeah. Like, all right.
So she just can't get married now. What are they gonna?
Oh, yeah. Is that like a beat her to the punch type happens?
I think so.
That's Chance Pope just asked it.
Yeah, Chance Pope in the chat. Like now she's like forever single.
This feels like an SNL skit. If she did get married, and then these two men like fighting over, you just touched my wife.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, smart move by him. Like, listen, Bed Bath & Beyond always sends us 20% like buy one get one free coupons, and that's basically what he did, but with a conjoined head.
God. All right. Well, let's get out of here. We appreciate everyone tuning in. Yeah. I will not be on the show next week. I will be in Augusta, Georgia for the Masters.
What? That's
Monday fun. Practice round. And staying the night in Augusta. So I don't know if Butler will be on in my place or what, but we really appreciate you guys tuning in every week. Obviously, go give us 5 stars on Apple and Spotify if you haven't already. Leave a review. If you've already left a review, leave another one. Be great.
Yeah.
And subscribe to the YouTube page, Fourth and Wrong. We will be having the call-in show at some point. I don't know if we're going to do it in the offseason or we'll start it back up in the fall, but that number is 770-674-8233. Anything else? I made the intro, Evan.
Send me a copy of that, by the way.
I'm singing happy birthday right now, Tyler. Well, thank you, Evan. That's slightly strange, but I appreciate it.
Very nice of you.
All right, Chris. For Chris, I'm Tyler. We will see you guys next week.